Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Taking the Lead. I'm your host, Ken Jacobs of Jacobs Consulting and Executive Coaching, but you know that. And you also know that Taking the Lead is where I get to interview leaders, mostly from the world of PR, marketing, advertising, comms, who either I'm friends with, I know well, I'm an acquaintance, or I've admired from afar. So today's guest is that I've admired from afar, though it is shocking we've not met because we know a million people in common. Really, I'm not even exaggerating. It is Jon Harris of Conagra Brands. He's the EVP, Chief Communications and Networking Officer. He's also the president of the Conagra Brands Foundation, overseeing significant corporate giving aimed at combating food insecurity and promoting social responsibility. Previously was CCO and SVP for Hillshire Brands, SVP Chief Global Communications Officer for Sara Lee Corporation, and senior leadership roles at PepsiCo, Valley Corp, and Ketchum. Now, those of you watching who are not in the PR world, and those who are from the PR world, might know Jon from Meredith Vieira's talk show. He collaborated to develop every aspect of this show: stage set, program format, corporate sponsorship, promotions, partnerships. And then you saw him on camera as news correspondent and personality. You want to ask a guy like this, what do you do in your spare time? He, of course, is a member of the PRWeek Hall of Fame. He's involved with multiple nonprofit organizations, the Grammy Museum, Make-A-Wish Foundation, and the Alzheimer's Association. It is just a delight to introduce to Taking the Lead, Jon Harris.
Thank,
Welcome.
thank you so much, Ken. My gosh, well, it all goes downhill from here. But thank you so,
Uh-oh.
but thank you
Uh-oh.
so much, boy. Uh, yeah, I've been very fortunate, but I could not have gotten anywhere or done any of those things without just an amazing mentors and amazing teams that I've been so blessed to work with and work alongside.
Yeah. And I think we attract people like that, whether they're mentors, whether they're our bosses, our peers, or those we serve. We bring those people into our lives. So let's jump in. You are
Sure.
the 2024 recipient of the center named for someone I admire, Betsy Plank, the Plank Center for Leadership in PR Legacy Award. What about Betsy Plank's leadership inspires you today as a leader?
Sure. Well, Ken, again, thank you so much for that very kind introduction. As About Betsy Plank's leadership, Betsy believed that leadership was about service, not stature. And
Mhm.
that's always resonated with me. She had an unwavering commitment to ethics, mentoring, elevating others all around her. And her legacy reminds me that our job as communicators is not just to tell stories. I think sometimes folks think that's what we do. Our job really is to build trust, empower voices, and lead with integrity. And Betsy did that better than anyone. And she led from the front and behind the scenes. You have a great story about Betsy, how she helped you earlier in your career. And I just think that was her. She had quiet strength, and she had such a great dedication to helping future generations. And knowing that and studying Betsy over the years, I've incorporated that in my leadership. And I did not have the blessing to meet Betsy or know Betsy, but again, admiring her from afar and studying her, I think she was the quintessential leader. And, we've had other great leaders too. Betsy Plank, you've got Harold Person, you've got Dan Edelman, so many others in our industry that are just trailblazers. But Betsy was really one of a kind.
Yeah, she was special. At some point now, you remind me. I'll do a video about my experience with Betsy. But I love the fact that it's called the Legacy Award because I often say at the end of the day in the PR graveyard or cemetery, there's no tombstone that says they doubled their budget in a year. Like that's
Yeah,
very nice. Or they had a great program, or even a great program that surpassed its results. It is that leadership legacy. Who have you inspired to
Yeah.
be successful and to be leaders. So, who besides Betsy, inside PR, outside PR, doesn't matter, most inspires you as a leader?
Well, I've been very blessed to have so many mentors, as I've said, who have inspired me greatly. Early in my career, I went to Rutgers University, and Gil Bash of Finn Partners now. Well, Gil ran a PR boutique shop, healthcare related, and he offered me a job out of college. He was my adjunct professor. I believe it was for communications theory. Gil was a very big force for me early on, and I learned so much from him. Moved to Ketchum. I had Bob Feldman to learn from and Rob Flaherty. Just amazing, amazing people. Then moved to Pepsi, and I had the great Roger Enrico and Wayne Calloway to study and learn, and Don Kendall as well, who the founder of PepsiCo. And I used to have to pinch myself all the
Mhm.
time when I was at this company because I could not believe that a kid from Wayne, New Jersey, from very, very humble beginnings, these folks knew my name. I remember years ago when I first joined Pepsi, uh, Brenda Barnes, who was the CEO of Pepsi North America, and Craig Weatherup, who was the CEO of PepsiCo at the time. They knew my name. I had gone to earlier in the day. I had gone to an assembly or a meeting, I should say. I shouldn't say it's an assembly, but it was a town hall meeting, and they remembered my name. I was in the sundry shop, and I remember coming home giddy to my then girlfriend or fiance, but my wife, that these people who are so accomplished and so amazing and well respected knew my name. And I
Yeah.
never forgot that. And later on, Brenda Barnes, Brenda left Pepsi and became the CEO of Sara Lee. She brought me there. And to study at her feet was just incredible. And to learn so much, not just the knowledge, but how to behave, how to be a great leader, how to lead with empathy. It was just incredible. And now I've worked for the last 14 years between Sara Lee, Hillshire, and Conagra now. I've had the pleasure to work with my CEO, Sean Connolly, who is just an incredible leader. Ethics, mentoring, elevating others. He's just an incredible human being, great leader, great person. And I've learned so much from him, both personally and professionally. And all I try to do is pay it forward. And
Yeah.
that's what it's all about.
Well, you do. You're known to do that. And one thing that really resonates with me from what you said is it's those little things, right? You're the CEO and you recognize the PR associate or whatever title you had at the time by name. Those little things. We were talking before the cameras rolled about when someone pays someone else a kindness, when a leader pays someone a kindness, they remember forever, forever and ever. We were talking about the Chicago PR leaders, including Betsy, who paid me such kindnesses when I was out looking for work around 1993, 94. And those things really stay with you. And you do remember who didn't pay you a kindness or could have helped but didn't. But that gets further and further back. And after a while, you forget, you forgive, you say, okay, it wasn't their moment to help. But there are so many others who just one little kindness will stay with someone for decades. So
So
speaking of
true.
leadership, what was the moment in your career when you realized I'm not just a great PR practitioner, not just a great PR manager, but I'm a true leader of people?
It was, I gave a lot of thought to this, and I'll tell you, it was during a crisis at Pepsi. It was back in 1997. I was a manager at Pepsi, maybe a senior manager at that point, but was given a tremendous amount of responsibility. And there happened to be a crisis here in Chicago with our Midwest bottler at the time. Someone was putting benzene in one of our
Oh,
products
Lord.
at one of our
Okay.
customers. And I literally these were the days before Zoom and before video conferencing. I literally went from my office in Somers, New York, straight to the White Plains Airport and flew to Chicago. I had no clothes, no toiletries. I had to get everything while I was in Chicago for the next 10 days. But I realized, and that I was on the ground there and all this whole cross-functional team dealing with this crisis, legal, R&D, supply chain, marketing, operations, everyone was relying on me to do the right thing on site, prepare everyone for the crisis, but then also keep them posted. And I realized the value that I brought to the table then. And I never, if you were to ask me at the time, I would just say, well, I was just doing my job. But I look back on it now, several years later, and I say, that was true leadership. And I'm
That
so
was.
grateful that they entrusted me to do that. And I really learned how to do crisis PR, well at Pepsi. But boy, that's when I thought, my goodness, we were able to turn it around. I was able to prepare the uh, the local bottlers to go on air and be spokespeople. I served as a spokesperson, and it was just they gave me the shot. I've been listening to the Hamilton soundtrack a lot lately,
Yeah.
and I did not give away my shot then, and I always tried throughout my career to take all the shots I can.
Yeah. Great experience. So let's go to the other extreme.
Mhm.
Your worst leadership failure. And we always say, honest answers only, please.
Well, I will. Well, I know what other people might say, and it usually involves working too hard.
Okay.
I care too much. But early in my career, and it happened at Pepsi and Sara Lee, when I first took on international responsibilities, Ken, I assumed that everything operated the same way as they do at headquarters here in the U.S. And it was very clear to me very quickly that in communications, you really have to know thy audience and always put yourself in his or her shoes, and realizing that communications is not a one size fits all approach. There are different strategies, there are different languages, and there's different media. It's a whole different world. So I learned then and there that what I'm doing here necessarily isn't going to work in the UK or in France or Spain, and so I had to adapt my beliefs, or what I thought I was right, and we were able to find a path forward. It was very successful at Sara Lee. I had an amazing team, but it was really all about leading with empathy, listening, not just speaking, but really hearing them and taking my cues from the great professionals that we had in these respective countries, for them to kind of be my eyes and ears and for me to learn from them. One of the great things about our industry is I've learned from mentors, but I've also learned so much from peers and colleagues. And I've learned so much from even the students that I've taught over the years. I taught at University of Chicago for about a decade for graduate degrees in PR and marketing. And I learned more from those students, Ken, than they learned from me.
Yeah.
And I still do it. And I'm on the board of the Annenberg School at USC, thanks to the great Fred Cook. And I have to tell you, I learned more from those students, and certainly those who are involved with Plank, than anyone. And I love it. I think in many ways it certainly keeps me current. It keeps me available and understanding of what's to come, and really how to roll with the punches and elevate my game. Because I think for us nowadays, the changes are coming so fast and furious.
Oh
It's
my
incumbent
Lord.
upon all of us to raise the bar. And that's what I try to do every day.
And I think that we can get wisdom from anyone. We can get wisdom from anyone. And I think part of it, you've said a lot of words that to me make up the ideal leader, the trust, the legacy, the empathy, the integrity, the ethics are just some of the phrases you've used. And I think that truly great leaders have humility. And when
Yes.
you have that humility, you say, I can learn from just about everyone. It's up to me to be open. And I
Sure.
benefit, and then my teams benefit, my organization benefits. And then I think also ties back to listening more than speaking.
Yep.
Listening more than speaking. So many of us know you from your basement jam sessions. We see a guitar in the
The guitar,
background.
the guitar is
Um,
in the background. Yes.
I'm just curious, you know, how two separate questions. How did those begin? And what have you learned about leadership from the world of music? And I'll tell you, this is a question we've asked someone I've got to think you know, Corey DeBroa of
Of course,
Burson,
a
music
dear
guy,
friend of
right?
mine, a
I
dear friend of
had to
mine, and a
assume that.
musicologist. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, where did they start? And then separately, what have you learned about leadership from either the world of music or being a musician?
Certainly. Well, thank you for that question, and thanks for the plug. Um, uh, During the early days of COVID, and I'm talking March of 2020, when we all thought we were going to be back in the office the next week, and that was a year and a half later,
Yeah,
I saw artists putting songs on to entertain folks. They were doing it on TikTok, they were doing it on Instagram and Facebook. So I just started doing one song, two songs, and kind of taking requests. And then suddenly it evolved to this, for a long time, to a weekly session where I would take requests and I would play. I played with a dear friend of mine who would come to my basement. That's why it's called the basement sessions, in a mask. And I obviously didn't have a mask on because I was singing. But it's so amazing to think this was just 5 years ago. But
yeah,
I
different
started
world.
these. It was always dedicated to the frontline workers and first responders. We had some sponsors, we still do, and I still do them. I've done a few hundred of them now at this point. I love it. It's a great way to bring people together. It's very funny because we'll have people checking in like Al Roker and Rachel Ray, and then we'll have my friends from high school, and everybody's interacting with one another, and
It's brilliant. It's
it's this
brilliant.
it's just an amazing. I love it, and I think again, it's a situation where I get more out of it. I think than even the viewers do. But what I've learned through music and through just doing the basement sessions, the value of listening,
Mm.
improvising, and harmonizing with others. And whether you're on stage or you're in the boardroom, leadership is all about creating space for every voice to be heard, Ken. And boy, it also provides me with a great outlet to reduce stress. But I'll tell you, it is. I mean, this gets a lot of play, uh, you know, during certain times of the year. But I've been doing it for so long and I just love doing it. It's a great passion of mine. My son will play with me. He's at USC at the Thornton School of Music. My friend, who's no longer masked anymore, also plays lead guitar, and it's just a blast. And I actually, during COVID, I even played it for our Canadian team. I would, just so that everybody
Nice.
could get away and have some, even though we weren't in person, but human one-on-one contact. And boy, it's one of my favorite things that I do, and I look forward to it. We're doing one this weekend, honoring the great Brian Wilson. So,
Sure.
yeah, yeah. So
Nice,
it's
nice.
yeah. So it's. But I love it, and boy, it also shows you the great power that music is the universal language, as Corey and I have talked about many times over the years, and it's a language that everybody pretty much speaks. I mean, it's rare that you find someone who doesn't like any kind of music.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
so true. I will say for the record, I'm kind of like the Jeff Goldberg character in what's the great movie with it like oh my God, my memories go where he only listens to music up until 1975.
Oh, oh.
Look at these two old guys not remembering.
Wow, I'll have to look. I will look it up after, I promise.
You know what I'm talking about, where
I
they all
do.
gather together for the funeral of the, it's like the ultimate Gen X
The
movie.
Big
But at any
Chill.
rate, yes,
The
yes,
Big
yes.
Chill. There
Yeah.
we go.
So
Yeah.
I don't listen to much. You're not going to like this. I don't listen to too much after 1979, maybe 1985. But then, anyway, but that's for another day. How important is a winning culture in business?
A winning culture is everything. I've been at many companies throughout my career, and every one has gone through transformation. And when I came here, when I came to Sara Lee, when I came to Bally, when I was at Pepsi, Pepsi was in a transformation as well too. And one of the things I admired most about all the leaders was they led with vulnerability and grit, and they inspired through clarity, compassion, and they were able to steer these companies through this massive transformation, always keeping people in the center. And in my mind, and it's still what I do nowadays, a large portion of what I do at this company too is internal communications and building a winning culture where everyone feels that they know their roles, They know their responsibilities in the overall success of the organization. And we are constantly educating our employees, who really are our most important audience, on the aspects of the business that they need to know about, and do it regularly. And actually during COVID too, we even upped our game, where we weren't in person, and we all know that face to face is always the best form of communications. But the next best thing is video, I believe. And we
Yes.
did quite a bit of that during COVID. We still do that here at Conagra. I host a regular series. Well, there's two regular series. One is called the Connection Series, which is where I will interview various leaders in our business, even in our plants and everywhere, to just talk about what they're working on. They're celebrating their success stories. And that has been something we've been doing for the last decade here. And I actually did it at Hillshire as well. Um, and we're also, I also do something called the Refuse to Lose series, where I'm very blessed. In my career, I've met so many amazing people, yourself including, Ken. And I've been able to get so many of my friends to come to the office, and whether it's Al Roker or John Stamos or Craig Melvin, or whether it's Henry Winkler or Valerie Bertinelli, we've been able to, Priscilla Presley and Dolly Parton. I don't want to forget those
Wow.
two, but
Wow.
it's an interview show and it's done internally. So it's nothing that we promote externally, but it's something I do for the employees here, for them to meet to meet and hear these incredible success stories and celebrate the successes of these well-known people. And it's something that I just started doing, and it's like the basement sessions. It gained momentum, and I'm just so it's so lucky. But the whole reason for that is to build this authentic culture that's high energy and fun, and where people feel that they truly can make a difference. And yeah, so that's how important it is to me. Peter Drucker may have said it best when he said, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." And
Always.
there's nothing, it's not about ego or being number one on paper. It's about resilience, shared purpose, and lifting each other up. We are only as good as the friends that we keep. And at Conagra, we celebrate wins, we celebrate growth, risk taking, and learning from losses. I think that ultimately is what sustains our long term success. And everybody feels like they're a part of it because they are.
Well, you look at the Gallup studies on employee engagement, and the numbers of disengagement are just horrible,
Yeah.
65 or 70%. How can you, how can an organization possibly achieve its goals if 65 or 70% or even 60% of your employees don't feel engaged? So when I talk to leaders and organizations, and if they perceive a lack of engagement, the first thing we look at is culture. And what does it stand for? What are the values? Do your people get it? And do they contribute to it? Because if they have some buy-in, they are more likely to accept it and celebrate it and live. I could ask you so many more questions, but we are out of time. But I will
Oh,
ask you this. If people want to get in touch with you to get more of this great energy and your leadership wisdom and your joy, your absolute joy, how do they do it?
well, thank you so much for all your kind words, and thank you for giving me this opportunity, Ken, to share some of my knowledge and experiences. It's been really great, and I look forward to doing another one with you at some time. I know
Okay.
I'm inviting myself, but let me
Why not? Why not?
absolutely.
We call it taking the lead for a reason. You're taking the lead.
Well, I love it. Well, you can find me on X at JonJayHarris on X. You could also find me on Instagram. I'm Jon Harris, JonHarris on LinkedIn, and also on Facebook. And I keep those pretty updated, and try to give out as much content as I possibly can and share some of the life lessons that I've learned, just to make life maybe a little easier for the next person, the next generation. It's something I really do believe that as professionals, and as human beings, it's incumbent upon us to share the knowledge that we've gotten, and really provide people with just these incredible lessons, so that maybe they don't have to go through it exactly the way that we did it, but they're going to win in the long run. So again,
And
thank you so much for having me.
my pleasure. Those of you who want to reach out, talk leadership, talk coaching, explore leadership, explore agency management, profitability, all those things we do. You can find me, KEN at JACOBSCOMM.com. That's KEN. Got to take a breath at JACOBSCOMM.com. On LinkedIn. There are a lot of Ken Jacobs, but I'm the one with some initials after my name. So that's how you can find me. Jon Harris, again, thank you so much. And as we always say, until next time, keep on taking the lead.